Well, we're going live to Germany to talk to Carsten Cramer, who's the CEO of Bundesliga side Borussia Dortmund. Of course, the Bundesliga played at the weekend, so highly relevant, much anticipated session. And I'm also told that Carsten is in a very good mood because his team won 4-0 against their local rivals. So Carsten, good afternoon. I hope you and your team are well, and I'm sure the Bundesliga are breathing a collective sigh of relief right now.
Yeah, you described it well. The word relief brings it to the right point and moment. We all felt lots of pressure in the last weeks because the expectations of the government, of the people, was really high. And to perform in a way like this, including a victory we couldn't expect in a way like this, makes us feeling much better than the weeks before.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning when the country was locked down and the league was put on pause. You're the first to come back. You came back so quickly. So can you just explain how that happened? How did you get back so quickly?
Well, I wouldn't say it's quickly because it feels such a long time ago that we had a game in our stadium before we played the derby against Schalke. Although you are right, it's just 8 weeks ago that we played our last game. But of course, I think it was a challenge for all of us to convince, especially the political decision makers, that the football is prepared for the comeback and the restart. I think we find the right words. I think we presented to them the right strategy, which was important to present a concept, how the football will get along with all the expectations. I think we accepted all the rules the government has given to us, and yes, finally, the players have to deserve it as well because they behaved in the way everyone expected to them. We accepted all the rules. We didn't train as a team. Just 10 days ago, the team training started. All the expectation and rules of the health concept was fulfilled as well. So I think football accepted that we are just a small part of people's life, that we don't have to overwhelm ourselves, and finally the concept convinced the decision makers to give us the approval and the permission to restart Bundesliga at the mid of May.
Okay, good. Let's move to the sort of match day at the weekend, and be interesting to get your learnings from that, particularly what you would change about the weekend, if there is anything you would change.
No, I think it's one step we made, and it's still a long run we have to run. And don't make a mistake just because of a small success of one weekend. Try to make the next step as soon as possible. We accept all the rules. The rules make sense, and there is no space for more interpretation and maybe for some more openness, talking about the special needs of the football sector. We agreed to the rules, we got along with them, and it's our obligation now to go straight forward, not to lose focus, and to be concentrated and to be humble, because another 8 match days are just in front of us. And it's just, as I said before, a small step we have made, nothing more.
I noticed that at the weekend that it was quite matter of fact in the way that you played the games. There was no razzmatazz around it. Not much technology was used to incorporate sort of a fan experience. Was that deliberate in the first instance, and will that change over time, do you think?
No, it won't change. We agreed to our supporters to present the stadium as authentic as possible. No artificial substitution of supporters or any audio-visual effect. So we accept that the stadium has to be emptied. We know that especially a stadium like Dortmund needs the people, and the swing of the Signal Iduna Park always refers to the supporters and the fans. Now we have to accept that we play games without them, but this is also an obligation not to substitute their atmosphere by any artificial impact. And that's the reason that we decided to play our game in a regular empty stadium.
So I know fans are extremely important to Dortmund. Obviously the yellow wall is talked about a lot, and it's a fantastic display. What have you done to engage the fans now that they can't go to the game? Give us your 1 or 2 top tips that you sort of incorporated and have worked quite well.
Well, I don't like to give tips or to behave as a teacher, because you can't compare the situation from one city to another one or from one club to another one. Talking now just about Dortmund, I think one of our big advantages was that we discussed every decision, every step with our supporters. And though we know that the supporters do not love the games behind closed doors, we could explain to them that the games were very, very important for the future of not only Borussia Dortmund, but also of the whole football sector. And that was, I think, the right way, that the supporters accepted that we have to play games like this, although they never will love the games. And taking them as a part of our decision, accepting them as a stakeholder of this process, in our mind was helpful to get their commitment in the way they behaved last weekend, because there was no single supporter, no community around the stadium. So they really accepted the rules given by the government to them and to us as a club as well.
You mentioned they respected the rules, and I think, there's talk about football without fans for quite some time now. Is it a concern to you that the appeal of football will be diminished as a result of that?
Oh, good question and tough question. I think in a situation like this, everything is a compromise, and we as representatives of football clubs, we have to protect the future of our clubs. And honestly, there is no real alternative to games like this. And as long as we know that it might be limited to a certain time, I think we will get along with it. Of course, football with spectators is the game we are looking for. But in a situation like this, I think we have to accept it. And everyone knows that the normal times will come back. And the more we commit to the current situation, the sooner we will make the next step. But if we just would complain, if we just would annoy, I think we won't be able to make the next step. And maybe this is something which is part of the German attitude or character: accept it and try to make best effort out of it. Of course, it's helpful to know that it is definitely limited to a certain time, and that, of course, the spectators will come back to the stadium. And especially for a club like Dortmund, football without spectators in a stadium with 81,000 never would work for a longer time. So therefore, we all are looking forward to welcoming the fans back to the Signal Iduna Park.
Let's talk about sponsors, because obviously you have a number of different contracts. I think hundreds of contractual arrangements with sponsors in terms of their engagement around match day and just broadly with the club. What did you do for the sponsors, given that they weren't able to attend the game?
Well, I think we integrated them in the process from the first moment. We didn't hide any of our problems. We informed them immediately that games will take place without the supporters. All the compensation and substitution measures we developed together with them. And we asked them for their loyalty and their support in order to receive the cash in our club, because if you lose not only the ticketing revenues, but also the media and the sponsoring revenues, each of the football clubs will get in trouble and problems. And the sponsors, not only the supporters, but also the partners and sponsors, were really, really loyal and understood in which situation the club is, although they do have problems as well. So I think almost 95% of our partners agreed not to pull out the cash out of the club, which was very, very helpful for the current situation of our club as well.
How do you think sponsorship will change going forward, Carsten?
Again, difficult question. It's always easy to say in a crisis like this, it will give an enormous change. And all of us know that after making the crisis, maybe the answer will be a different one. I think we have to be kind of humble. We had years increasement growth season by season. This is something which definitely will come to an end, but I'm still convinced that the sponsoring sector of football and other sports will be still a growing one, because it's a surrounding and scenery no one else can offer to the sponsors and the partners, and therefore I'm fully convinced, although maybe the budgets might be a bit limited, that the attractivity of football won't go down. But of course, it will take a time to come back to the level we had before the shutdown.
Carsten, bit of a philosophical question, this one, and it's around the sort of future of football. How do you think that will change in years to come as a result of this?
If I would know this and if I could predict, I guess I would be a very asked and demanded person in the market. But honestly, right now, I'm just working together with my colleagues to protect the near future of our club. I think this is the first thing we have to do, work hard that we will continue and that we will reach next season. And when we reach next season and when the regular or normal life will come back to us, then I think we should discuss on a more from a more abstractive and past perspective, how football should present himself for the future. It's so difficult to say what will change, what has to change. Of course, I guess we have to think about the relevance of football. Maybe sometimes we overwhelm our business. Maybe we have to be a bit more humble and down to earth, which is difficult in such a how do you say in English?
High profile.
Yeah. Well described. And maybe we have to reflect ourselves a bit more. But this should take place when we are back to normal life. It's the wrong moment to do it in a period or in a time like this, I would say.
I know, obviously, the Bundesliga is incredibly important to the national psyche of Germany, and how will that change? Will it kind of become more important now going forward, and will international football and international formats and European formats become less important to clubs like yours?
I don't think so. Right now, I would say the problems of the people, of the society, are really big ones, and football is a nice side aspect. Maybe we can bring some normal life back to the people. Of course, football is the glue of a society, but in a situation where the people have problems with their own salaries, with their own financial obligations, more than 10 million Germans are not paid anymore by their companies but by the government. I think the companies do have more concern than thinking about maybe some additional sponsoring budgets. So that's what I meant by saying we shouldn't overwhelm ourselves. I think we do have a relevance. I'm very sure that we can give some hope back to the people. But in a situation where the people have such big problems, private problems, own problems, what's going on with their kids, how is education be guaranteed for the next weeks and months, I think we should accept that football is just a normal part of the life, but not the most important.
Carsten, I've got a question from the audience. It's from Andrei Angelescu from the Romanian Football Federation. And it's around how you think you will change the running of your business moving forward and how the digital transformation of Borussia Dortmund will help in that regard.
First of all, regards to Romania, because we have a very present and engaged Romanian fan club based in Bucharest. So it's good to receive a question from Romania. I think the digital transformation won't be influenced by the current situation. Maybe it's an additional push talking about the digital transformation. But honestly, for a club like Dortmund, who defines himself more or less on the authentic, real football experience, it's more important that the real experience in our stadium is coming back as soon as possible, because the intensity, the passion of the people, that's the DNA of our club. And again, honestly and frankly speaking, the longer it takes time to come back to a full crowded Signal Iduna Park, I think the more this club loses its identification and DNA and USP. And therefore, all of us, apart from the digital transformation, all of us are really looking forward to welcoming back the people to the Signal Iduna Park.
Final question And again, it's an audience question, and it's from Giovanni Marchi, who's from the Liga Pro in Italy. His question is, how will COVID-19 change your transfer strategy?
Good That's question. A question I think all the guys ask themselves. I just talked to Michael Zorc, our sports director. Usually in May, the squad for the next season is already done. Maybe you sell some of the players, but all the plans are done. I think everyone has to be as flexible as possible. I'm very sure that the business on loan will become a higher relevance than the periods before, and for sure it will take a longer time to plan your squad. I'm very, very sure that not on July the 1st or even August the 1st, your team is done. And I guess flexibility is very important. Patience will be important. And I'm very sure that the expectations of high fees will go down as well.
Carsten Cramer, thank you so much for joining us at what is a very, very busy time for you. You've given the whole world of sports some hope. I'm sure lots of leagues around the world are right behind you, and you're pioneering away. So congratulations on that. Thank you very much for joining us, and good luck in the future as well.